Some pre-wedding family gathering I wasn't invited to. We'll be back Sunday evening, she said, kissing my cheek at the door. Don't work too hard. Drive safe, I replied, watching them pull out of the driveway. The moment the car disappeared, I moved. The cameras took less than 2 hours to install. One in the living room, one in the kitchen, one in the hallway, all connected to my phone. Legal, necessary, but that wasn't why my hands were shaking. A manila envelope sat on my desk. It had been there for 3 days, DNA diagnostics. A private lab 2 towns over, fast processing, no questions. I'd collected the samples 2 weeks earlier, a hair from Levi's brush, saliva from his juice cup, my own cheek swab, standard paternity test, the kind of thing a man does when his 7-year-old son doesn't look like him at all. When he remembers his wife's friendship with Blake Manning 8 years ago, right around the time Levi was conceived. I stared at the envelope for 10 minutes before opening it. Technical language. Filled the page. Genetic markers, probability calculations. I skipped to the bottom. Probability of paternity, 0%. Conclusion, Jordan Keir is excluded as the biological father of Levi Keir. I read it again. And again, 0%, 7 years. Bedtime stories, bike rides, homework, little league games, 7 years of being dad. I set the report down, went to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, drank it. Poured another, my hands were steady now. The anger didn't come as rage. It came cold, focused, precise. Stacy had lied for 7 years. Let me raise another man's child. Let me love him. All while knowing the truth. And Blake Manning, the CFO, the golden boy, the man her parents thought she should have married, he was Levi's father. The timeline fit too perfectly. I opened my notes app and started writing. Dates, trips. That business trip Stacy took with her father 8 years ago, Blake was there. I remembered because she came home different. Distant 2 weeks later, she told me she was pregnant. We'd been trying for a year. I sat back down at my desk and opened my laptop. The exit protocol document was still open. I added a new section. Custody, null and void. Paternity fraud documented. Daniel would need to see this first thing Monday. But before that, I needed more proof. If Stacy had lied about Levi, there was no reason to believe that was the only lie. The cameras were live now. When she came back Sunday, every call, every movement, every visit would be recorded. I sealed the DNA report back into its envelope, locked it in my desk drawer, and backed up copies to 3 separate cloud accounts. Then I went back to work like nothing had happened. The best plans are the ones no one sees coming. Sunday evening, Stacy and Levi got home around 6. I heard Levi's excited voice before I saw him, talking about a trampoline park. I met them in the hallway, hugged him, ruffled his hair. He wasn't mine biologically, but 7 years of love didn't disappear because of DNA. How was Austin? I asked. Exhausting, Stacy said. My mom had opinions about everything. I'm taking a bath. Pizza S on the way. Normal evening. Normal routine. Dad routine. After Levi was asleep, I checked the camera footage. Nothing unusual. Empty rooms, me installing cameras. Now it was just a waiting game. The week dragged on. I worked, played with Levi, acted normal. Stacy talked about the wedding nonstop. Blake would be there. Rehearsal dinner Friday, wedding Saturday. You're really okay with this? She asked Wednesday night. I said I understood, I replied. She squeezed my hand. Thank you for being so supportive. I smiled. The lie came easily now. Friday afternoon, my phone buzzed with a motion alert. Stacy was home early, packing. I opened the camera feed. She was on the phone, smiling, laughing. Then she glanced down the hallway toward my office, checking if I was home. She stepped closer to the camera. I know, she said softly. Just 4 more weeks after the wedding, when Jordan's. She stopped mid-sentence and ended the call. I replayed the clip, saved it, backed it up. Sent it to Daniel with 1 word in the subject line, urgent. That night, Stacy was glowing, excited. Showing me her dress, her packed suitcase. This is going to be such a beautiful weekend, she said. I'm sure it will be, I replied. She left Friday afternoon, kissed Levi and me goodbye. Promised to call, That night, Levi and I had pizza, played games, watched a movie. Love you, Dad, he said as I tucked him in. Love you too, buddy. Saturday morning, while Levi slept, I began the execution phase, financials first. Joint accounts separated. Savings transferred. Business funds reclaimed. Digital purge next, passwords changed, devices wiped, access revoked. The lease was handled, documents signed, my half paid. By noon, I had erased myself from every shared system we had. The startup came last. I dissolved it quietly. Legally. The operating agreement allowed it. All assets transferred to a nonprofit trust I'd already established. They'd find out Monday. At 2:00 p.m., I called Daniel. It's done. I'm leaving in an hour. Sure? He asked. I looked around the house. The photos, the furniture, the life that turned out to be a lie, I'm sure. At 3, I loaded the last box into my truck, left my keys on the counter. My wedding ring beside them, and one envelope addressed to Stacy. Inside, the DNA report and a single sentence, "You never had to explain." I understood. I picked Levi up from a friend's house. "Where are we going, Dad?" he asked. "On an adventure," I said. "We're going to see Grandma in Oklahoma." He smiled. "What about Mom?" "Mom will meet us there," I said. It was one of the few times I ever lied to Levi. It hurt, but it was necessary. We drove out of Houston as the sun went down. My phone kept buzzing. Stacy was calling from the wedding reception. I'd blocked her number an hour earlier. She was probably confused, maybe irritated. By morning, she'd be devastated. I learned what happened through Daniel a few days later. Saturday night, the wedding went perfectly. Stacy posted photos, smiling with her sister, bridesmaids, reception shots. Blake Manning appeared in several of them, standing close, laughing. Her parents looked proud. Everything looked perfect. Sunday morning, she flew home, texted me from the airport, called twice. No answer. She got home around noon. That's when she found the keys, the ring. The envelope. Daniel told me she'd called her parents immediately, hysterical. They rushed over and found her sitting on the couch, rereading the DNA report, trying to call me over and over. "Where's Levi?" her father demanded. No one knew. Monday morning. Raymond Porter tried to access the company accounts. Locked out. So did Stacy's brother. At 10:00 a.m., the courier arrived. The green tech partnership they'd been bragging about for years dissolved. Assets transferred to a Canadian trust. No access. No control. No claim. My half of the joint accounts gone. Completely legal. The startup they thought they owned never belonged to them. It was a shell structure I dismantled cleanly. Tuesday morning, the second courier arrived. More DNA evidence. Full documentation. Formal notice. I was filing for divorce citing paternity fraud and adultery. I was also seeking reimbursement for 7 years of child-rearing expenses. Her parents called me a downgrade compared to her ex. I wasn't invited to her sister's wedding. I said I understood, and while she was gone, I packed my bags. When she came home, I'd vanished along with the company she thought she owned, and $15 million she never knew I had. My name is Jordan Keir. I'm 41 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I honestly thought my life made sense. I work as an AI engineer, mostly freelance. Predictive systems, enterprise clients, Fortune 500 companies. I pull in around $500,000 a year. Not bad for someone who grew up in a trailer park in Oklahoma. My wife, Stacy, is 40. She works at her father's company, Porter Industrial Solutions. We've been married 11 years. We have a 7-year-old son, Levi. He's sharp, curious. Looks exactly like his mother, which used to make me smile. This all started on a Tuesday morning in late September. I was pouring coffee when Stacy walked into the kitchen, phone in her hand. She had that look, the one she always gets when she's already decided something and just needs to inform me. I'd seen it when she picked furniture, chose Levi's school, planned vacations. Same expression, every time. "Jordan, we need to talk about Ashley's wedding next month," she said, placing her phone face down on the counter. Ashley is her younger sister, 28. Marrying a finance guy from her dad's country club circle, I set my mug down carefully. "Sure. What time do we leave?" I can clear Friday if we need to drive up Thursday night. She didn't look at me. Instead, she straightened the dish towel hanging from the oven. Actually, I think it's better if I go alone this time. The kitchen went quiet. Just the refrigerator humming. I waited. My parents, she said slowly, still avoiding eye contact, fidgeting with her phone. They have expectations. Blake will be there. He's CFO now. Dad's been talking a lot lately about how things could have been different if I'd made other choices. If you'd married Blake Manning instead of me, I said. Her jaw tightened. That's not exactly what I said, but it's what you meant. She finally looked at me, defensive, almost annoyed. They think you're a downgrade, Jordan, compared to Blake. I know it's unfair. I know it sounds awful, but I don't want to make them uncomfortable at Ashley's wedding. It's her big day. Can we just avoid drama, downgrade? Like I was an old model car with too many miles. I took a slow sip of coffee, set the mug down on the granite. The sound echoed louder than it should have. Understood. She blinked. That's it, you're not going to argue. Would it change anything? I asked calmly. Would it make your parents respect me? Would it make you stand up for your husband? She didn't answer. I nodded once. Then we're clear. You go to the wedding. I'll stay home with Levi. Relief washed over her face. Along with something else, guilt maybe, or satisfaction. Thank you for understanding, she said. I knew you'd be mature about this. We can do something nice when I get back. Maybe take Levi to that science museum. Mature, reasonable. Understanding, the words people use when they expect you to accept less than you deserve. She kissed my cheek quick, distant, and went upstairs. I stood there listening to the water run, the hair dryer hum through the ceiling. That's when I made my decision. Being called a downgrade has a way of clarifying things. For 11 years. I told myself we were building something, a partnership, a family, a future. But partners don't rank each other. Families don't hide people to avoid embarrassment. And futures built on that foundation aren't worth having. I walked into my office, locked the door, and opened my laptop. 28 days until the wedding. 28 days to make sure that when I left completely. No loose ends. No second chances. No reconciliation. I opened a new document and typed, Exit Protocol, Jordan Keir. The cursor blinked. The first call I made was to an attorney. Not the family lawyer Stacy and I used. A different one, Daniel Vickers, asset protection, complex divorces. We met at a tech conference years back. Jordan, he answered. What's going on? I need to meet today, in person. A pause, my office, 2 o'clock. I spent the rest of the day working like nothing had changed, debugged a model, took a client call. Answered emails. Routine helped, kept me steady. At 1:30 I told Stacy I had to run an errand downtown. Okay, she said, barely looking up. I'm picking up Levi. We'll get ice cream. Sounds good, I said, and I meant it. Whatever happened next, Levi didn't deserve to be in the middle. Daniel's office was in a renovated warehouse near the waterfront. Glass walls, exposed brick, the kind of place that quietly signals expensive decisions. He met me in a conference room with coffee and a legal pad. Talk to me, he said, closing the door. I told him everything. The wedding, the downgrade comment, 11 years of marriage. Levi, you're thinking divorce, he said, not a question. I want to be prepared, I replied. I want to know my options. And I want to protect myself. Daniel nodded, writing as I spoke. First question, do you have any evidence of infidelity? Not yet, but I have suspicions. Then we need proof, he said. Texas is no fault, but infidelity still matters. Property division, custody. You need evidence before you file. How do I get that? He looked up. How tech-savvy are you? I almost laughed. Very. Good, he said. Here's what you do. He laid it out calmly. Security cameras, legal as long as they weren't in bathrooms or bedrooms. Monitoring shared devices. Auditing joint accounts. Paper trails, documentation. Everything clean, everything defensible. I can install cameras this weekend, I said. Stacy's taking Levi to her parents' place Saturday. I'll have the house to myself. Perfect, Daniel said. Then he leaned forward. But Jordan, once you start this, there's no going back. You need to be certain. I thought about Stacy's face that morning, the relief when I agreed not to attend the wedding. The way she kissed my cheek, quick, distant, familiar in the wrong way, I'm certain. Then let's get to work. I left his office with a checklist and a timeline, 4 weeks until the wedding. 4 weeks to gather evidence, secure assets, and prepare my exit. That night, I ordered 3 discrete security cameras, motion-activated, cloud storage. They arrived by Friday. By Saturday night, they were installed. Stacy noticed nothing. We had dinner as a family. Levi talked about a volcano project at school. Stacy scrolled through wedding photos, showing me dresses and floral arrangements. Ashley's going with white roses, she said. Classic, beautiful, I replied. She smiled like everything was normal. I helped Levi get ready for bed, read him 2 chapters from his favorite book about space exploration. When I came back downstairs, Stacy was on the couch with her phone. I'm heading to bed early, I said. Long day. Okay, I'll be up soon. Upstairs, I opened my laptop and started a spreadsheet. Assets, liabilities, accounts, properties, everything we own together. Everything that would need to be divided. The cursor blinked. I started documenting my life, preparing to dismantle it. Saturday came too fast and too slow at the same time. Stacy left with Levi around. 9 in the morning. Heading to her parents' place in Austin.